Hey everybody, John Troutman here. On this episode of Truth or Comfort, we have Kara Beckmann. Kara Beckmann is a local Phoenix real estate investor who was once a pastry chef, and she's taken that detailed approach into her real estate investing. So you want to see what she has to offer as far as design goes. Also, take a look at how she's come up quick, but she's also had some issues that she's had to overcome, and the mindset and taking charge that she's done to get to where she's at. Anyways, check out this episode. We're just gonna go through kind of your story, how you got started, which is I'm interested to learn more about. So, anyways, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Okay.
Hi, John Troutman here, Truth or Comfort podcast. I'm here with Kara Beckmann, and you're a local here in Phoenix, house flipper. Are you a GC, by the way?
Not yet.
Not yet. Working towards it. Anyways, I appreciate you coming here today and being on our podcast and sharing your story with us. So if you could, we'll just jump right in and tell us a little bit how you got started in real estate investing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here. So it's funny. My background is actually in patisserie and baking. So almost as far away from real estate as you can probably get.
Right.
So I was a pastry chef for many years, and it happened to be I just graduated culinary school at the time when the economy started to drop. So I worked at a restaurant for a few years. It would close. I would work at another restaurant for a few years. It would close. And all of this time, I'm saving money to eventually open up my own bakery. That was my dream.
Got it.
And it just, owning my own bakery seemed a little too limiting. And so then I ended up working in retail. Long story short.
Okay.
So I was back into retail, and I thought, this is not what I want to do with my life. I love being creative, and I'm still saving money to eventually open up this bakery. And then I started going to open houses, and I really started to enjoy looking at design and different designs. And I thought maybe I should try real estate.
Right.
And so I would look at houses. I would fall asleep on Zillow looking for houses. And at the time, my mom was my only real estate agent that I knew. And so I would just send my mom these houses, and we would put in lowball offers. And even to this day, I think just put in an offer, because you never know someone's situation. You never know how low they're going to go.
Right. Good point.
So finally, someone accepted my offer. It was $50,000 under asking, and the house was falling apart. Cabinets were falling off the kitchen. She was in a wheelchair, and I don't think her wheelchair fully fit the hallways.
Oh, wow.
So the drywall was completely destroyed down the hallways. There were bumpers on the corners of the drywall, and I just saw potential. I was so excited to have this house, and I'm still working full time. And I brought in I had 3 contractors bid it. I went with someone who I felt comfortable with. And was
that person the cheapest, or you just felt most comfortable? Just curious.
They were not the cheapest, but I felt the most comfortable with them.
Right.
I'd seen some of their work, and It was in line with what I wanted to do. It was in line with my vision. And so I went with them, and everything went great. It was a very smooth remodel. It was a full gut job. But everything went really, really good. It sold in 10 days.
Wow.
And everyone said, it will not be this easy. It will not be this easy. But I thought, well, it was pretty dang easy for me.
Yeah.
And no house was ever that easy again. But I'm so thankful that it was that easy, because it really sucked me in.
Right.
And so that was in 2016. That was my first and only house in 2016.
Okay.
2017 comes, and I thought, I want to do this again. It was so great. And I enjoyed seeing the process. I enjoyed the process of it. And so that 2017, I flipped 2 more houses. I ended up purchasing a rental property, because I thought, if I want to quit my job, which was the end goal,
right,
I need passive income. I need some sort of steady income. So I purchased a rental property. And then on my next flip that I started, all while working a full-time job.
Right.
So for the people who say, I don't have the time, I was able to do all of this while working 40 hours for someone else, and as many hours as I possibly and physically could outside of that full-time job. But anyways, on the next house, I decided I want to learn more of the construction aspect. And so rather than hiring my GC and stepping away, I hired all subcontractors and paid them to teach me how to do everything.
Nice. So tell me, like, if you could break that process down, like, where did you find your subs? And then I'm just curious. And then you said, all right, I'm going to pay you extra. Show me how you did this.
Right. So up to this point, I had subcontractors that I really liked who worked under my general contractors. And then they would leave, but they would call me.
Oh, right.
And say, hey, Kara, do you have another project? I'd
Right.
love to work for you again. And to this day, I still use some of those tile guys, painters. And so that's how I brought these subs in. And then word of mouth. Everybody knows somebody.
Right.
And so I would interview a few people.
Right.
And see who was a good fit. And funny, in that project, I changed subs halfway through.
Oh, wow. A bunch of them?
Just two of them.
Okay.
Switched them out.
Okay.
Because some were just taking a little too long. And I brought others in who had knew more trades.
Right.
So it made sense for a few different reasons.
Right.
That particular project, it took the longest because, they're spending time teaching me.
Right.
Cost more. And I made my lowest profit, but it was probably the most beneficial project that I've done. Because that project, it took so long, and I would go there before work. I would go there after work, and I'm working at a high-end women's retail boutique, and I would go to work with paint in my hair. And I thought, this is just, if I want to do this, I can't keep doing both.
Right.
And so I ended up quitting my job. Took a huge leap of faith for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And was able to wrap that project up. It sold, and now I'm just closing on my 9th project.
Wow, 9. And then, but you're doing them for other people too. So word's getting out. Like, you obviously do phenomenal work. So people are now saying, "Hey, will you come do my project?"
Yes, correct. And when I started my business, Beckmann House, I never planned on taking on clients. That was never the part of the business plan. And all through social media, I've gained a lot of clients.
Right.
Yeah. So that's been a wonderful part of the project as well.
So what do you do with the clients? I'm just curious. I'm not, I don't work well with others that way. I just do my own, but I think that's awesome that you can and do. And so do you go through, you do your renderings with them, pick out all the products, help let them participate in some of that, all of it, none of it?
Yeah, it depends on the client.
Okay.
It really depends on the client. Some clients want to be involved as much as possible. Some don't want to be involved. And so it also depends on the remodel. So if I'm doing a full house remodel versus just a bathroom,
Right.
I will do a few different design boards to get the aesthetic down,
Right.
color palettes, and then we can either go tile shopping together, slab shopping, or I can show them options, bring it to them.
Okay, so I'm gonna steal some ideas. You're kind of, you're being monitored right now, so you got to tell me what's your favorite tile place? I'm just curious.
Oh, well, that's a tough one. It depends on the project. It depends on the budget too. I love Facings of America.
Where's that at?
There's 2 locations. There's one in Phoenix,
Okay.
and there's one in Scottsdale.
Nice.
They have some great options. I love Famosa Tile. That's in California. They have amazing options. But it depends on Bedrosian's is great too.
Okay.
Depends on the price point.
Right. Okay, so of these projects, I think I know what one's been your favorite, which is probably the lowest profit one. Would you say that's your favorite one, or just favorite from a learning standpoint?
So that was I'll never forget that one.
Right.
That was where I was able to quit my job and learn so much.
That's
The
a
one
pivotal
after I quit my job
Yeah.
was, to date, the hardest project I've ever done.
You were
multiple
challenged, like,
reasons.
yeah.
For
Well,
multiple
it
reasons.
had to work out that way, right? Like, it's like, oh my gosh, did I make the right decision? Should I have quit my job?
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yes.
So,
That one was, so I quit my job.
mm-hmm.
Up to that point, I was able to qualify for a mortgage, which is another great reason to
yeah.
start this as a side business
Right.
while you're working for someone else, because you have your W-2s, you can qualify for mortgages. I just had to
Right.
hold it for 4 months.
Right.
So,
Versus being self-employed, you guys, it's 2 years. You have to be employed for 2
Yes.
years to qualify.
Yes.
So
the first job, or the first house after I quit my job, it was my first hard money deal. So I was nervous. Never
Mhm.
used hard money. For those of you who don't know, hard money is a higher interest rate. You usually have to pay points or percentages on the loan up front.
right.
In this particular hard money deal, I could only have it for 8 months. So I told my contractor, we have to get this done fast. I'm really nervous. It's hard money. He's like, don't worry. It's easy.
Right.
So
All
I
of them
said,
are.
okay.
That's when you run.
Yeah, that's when I should have run. So we are supposed to pull permits. I'm paying my contractor to pull permits. I'm paying draftsman fees. Long story short, we get shut down by the city for not having these permits.
Okay.
Lesson learned. Now I pull my own permits, so
Right.
I know they're getting pulled.
Yeah.
So we get shut down for a month.
Wow.
While on hard money, we had to redo. It was almost $20,000 worth of work
Wow.
that they did incorrectly. And then it sat, and it finally went under contract, and that inspector scared the new home buyer. So they canceled. So it's back on the market. I'm getting a notice from the hard money lender saying,
Yeah.
if you don't pay this off in 1 month, we're on month 7 now.
Okay.
If you don't pay this off in 1 month, your fee alone is $32,000.
Wow.
Talk about scary. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong on this project really did go wrong. And thankfully, we got a new buyer. It closed 6 weeks until that 8th month
Okay.
period. And I'm shocked I even made a profit on that. It was actually a really good profit. I would have been thankful if I broke even on that. But that I probably learned the most.
Okay.
That was a very challenging project. And but every challenge, I think it makes you stronger. It really does. Now, problems that come up seem so minuscule compared to that project. And then I just kept the momentum. I didn't let that stop me.
Right.
And
Well, yeah, you can't. You kind of just have to keep going, right? So
You do,
good for you.
right.
We see a lot of people that, because of market adjustments and maybe they have a specific model, that they didn't adapt to the new market, so they get out of it. And so it's always sad to see that too, where people maybe they took some beatings, but you got to just stick with it. It's just it's a cycle. I explain to people.
yeah,
So,
and it really does come with the territory. They will not always be easy.
right.
And you just have to take the good ones with the bad ones and choose to learn from them.
Right. Absolutely. Good point. You do. Every one of them, I'm sure, is a learning experience. I feel like I continue to learn on every single one something.
Mhm.
Right. So, okay. Curious, like working with contractors, working with subs, how do you manage that? I'm curious.
Well, I'm at the job site a lot.
Okay.
And so they know how I work. They know I like to be involved as much as I can.
Mhm.
And I'll ask them a ton of questions. And
It's probably a good thing that you do, because it lets them know you understand and know.
right.
And so they're not going to try
Right.
to. And plus, you've probably been working with most of them for a minute now.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. So,
Do they tell on each other?
not usually, but
Okay,
they're
that's
pretty
good.
good.
Okay,
I think I finally found some pretty good ones.
That's good. That's good.
They're hard to come by.
Yes, the keepers.
Yeah. But they know my work, they know my quality, and I will absolutely make them redo things if it's not right the first time. So,
Mhm.
I think because of that, they know they just have to do it right.
Do you, when you had the GC originally, would you push back on him, and would he push back on you if some of the work wasn't quite done? Like, would he try to justify it? Like,
In the beginning, yes.
Okay.
And that was one of the reasons specifically on a few projects down the road. I thought I really need to learn this stuff myself, because some things that he would push back on, I didn't know if he was pushing back because that was the truth, or if it was because
save money.
to save money, or he just didn't want to do it that way.
Right,
And so,
the right way. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. We see that, and we have students that are going through that process that get that pushback. So I was just curious. Just wanted to hear that from you. Okay, so words of advice to anybody looking to get started in real estate investing. What would you tell them?
I would tell them that it really is okay to start where you are. You don't have to quit your job to
Right.
start this. And from my experience, looking back, I'm really glad that I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
because I was able to use my income from my job to pay for my remodels. And that was very beneficial at the time.
Right.
A lot of people say, I want to quit my job. I want to do this full time, which is great. But I think get a few under your belt and learn your processes too.
Right.
My processes have developed immensely since I've started, and that's helped me a lot. I would say to not let fear stop you, because it's very easy to get in this analysis paralysis where you're constantly just analyzing deals.
Right.
And take the leap of faith and, do your first deal. Once you get your first deal under your belt, you're going to want to do more.
Right.
So that first deal is so important.
It's like crack, you guys.
It is. Even if you don't make anything. I mean,
Right.
the knowledge of your first deal so far outweighs the profit that you'll get. I heard this quote. It said, you'll never get rich on your first deal, but you'll get rich because of your first deal.
Very well said.
And it made so much sense.
I think I said that. Am I quoted
By
somewhere
John
saying that?
Troutman.
Yeah. Someone might have stole it, so if you see someone else's name on it, just know it was mine. Sounds like something I would say. No, I like that. And all good advice. So in regards to your first deal or deals in general, like I know you're looking at doing commercial, right? So what's next?
That's my goal this year.
All right. This year.
This year. I've said it to a few people, so I'm putting it out there.
Yeah, that's good. I love commercial. I think it's less scary than what people, you going through the process, you could see it, right?
It's very different. I mean, the process alone so far seems very different than residential.
Right.
But that's because I've never done a commercial deal before, so it's all that aspect is very new to me.
Yeah, I think because there's different options, right? Like there's so much more you could do with a commercial asset than a residential, in my opinion. So, anyways, it's I'm looking forward to seeing you do your first commercial deal and post it. Go through the process.
Thank you. I have 6 months left to get one.
Yeah, you'll do it
before this year. So, I'm constantly looking.
Well, okay. So the viewers that are watching, how do they follow you? What's the best way to follow you? On Instagram?
Primarily on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay.
At Beckmann House.
Okay. Beckmann House.
Yes. So I post all my projects. I post behind the scenes during the renovation process and show before and afters a lot.
Is the commercial property going to be like, are you going to do pastries out of part of it? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I don't really have time to bake anymore, but we'll see.
No? Baking, I told Brandon you were bringing a cake or something and nothing. So I do appreciate you coming in today. I think for viewers that are watching, I do want to say I wasn't going to bring this up, but I'm curious. Like, I just think it's in general, people getting started it's a tougher deal, right? Getting started.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably comes up. We're seeing as a company, more and more women involved in real estate investing. And I think it's great watching women engage in the process because it's different. Like Carrie over there, her husband is my GC.
Oh, that's great.
And it wasn't so great. Would you guys talk about me around dinner sometimes? The dinner table? That's what I like to hear. All positive stuff. They probably have a voodoo doll of me there. Yeah? It's good. That means I did my job. That means we did things right over here. But no, learning how to deal with some of these guys that are, I think, a little aggressive in the way that they take a stance on justifying their work. That's been my experience watching from a third party, looking at how some of them do work. And that's why I'm all for everybody being their own GC.
Mm-hmm.
it's the only way that you're going to truly learn and have control over the whole process and make sure it's done right the way that you want it to be done. And getting rid of that. I do use Brian. He's the only GC that I use in the Valley, period, the end. So I will say that. But for the most part, we do most of the work ourselves, but we encourage people to as well.
Mm-hmm.
On their first, we want them to work with GCs while they learn the process.
Right.
Because it is important. So it's that necessary, plug your ears, necessary evil. Come on, don't look at me like that. You're here. Anyway, so if you could talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think that's where the knowledge is so important to have, especially being a woman in this industry. I've seen it firsthand where they don't expect you to know.
Right.
And I didn't know when I first started flipping houses. I didn't know a lot of things that went on in construction. But that's why I took it upon myself to learn. And that has come in very handy on numerous occasions where I would push back and say, well, I've done it a different way. So can we,
Right.
Then the conversation starts and they realize, oh, wow, she knows more than I thought she did.
Right.
And then that level of respect comes in as well. But I would just say it is so important to be at your job sites. Flipping houses is a lot of work, and I'm very hands-on. So being active, asking questions. If you don't know, just ask.
Right.
And I like to be involved too.
Right. I think that's key for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, you have to park the ego, especially in the beginning, and just ask as many questions as possible. It's okay not to know. Just ask.
Right.
Well, good stuff. Again, I appreciate you coming on today, sharing your story, some tips and advice for the people here. One last thing I keep forgetting to ask. Are you still using the MLS to find your properties, or do you use wholesalers?
I would say still 75% of my deals are on the MLS.
Thank you.
And I hear all the time, there's not any deals on the MLS. I will tell you firsthand that the last deal that I did on the MLS was my largest profit to date.
Wow.
And I was able to do that because, yes, it was on the MLS. It was on there, I want to say maybe 60 days. And it was a 1,300 square foot home. But I realized I could add value. There's a 12-foot side yard.
Wow.
And so I realized I could build out 820 square feet.
Nice.
And by doing that, not only am I adding value, but I could justify paying a little bit higher per square foot going in because I knew I would get that return.
Right.
On that home, I was able to add a huge open concept kitchen, an interior laundry room. The laundry room was at the time in the garage. So I brought that inside, added a 4th bedroom, a powder room, and a dining area. That house sold, and it was great. It was, like I said, my best profit to date, and that was on the MLS.
That's awesome. I tell people all the time, we find properties all the time on the MLS. Do you want to speak to why you think you find them on the MLS? Like so much, so often?
Well, I'm just always looking.
Yeah.
I'm always looking on the MLS and submitting offers.
Right.
When people say, I can't find a deal, I can't find a property, how many offers have you submitted?
Right.
You put in 10 offers, you might get one,
Right.
So I think you need to look, and you also need to constantly be looking to be able to determine if it's a good deal or not.
Right. Do you focus in on certain areas as well?
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. I have only about 3 areas that I really like to be in, and I like to become the expert in that area.
Right.
So again, when something comes on the market, I know right away if it's a good deal or not because I know that neighborhood.
So you probably look at the MLS 3 to 4 times a day, I'm guessing.
Yeah, multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Some more words of wisdom there, you guys. So again, thank you for coming today. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Truth or comfort.